Hey guys, tonight we sail back into the warm, sticky air of the Caribbean, where sails creak like lullabies and waves slap the hull like a baby rocking itself to sleep. You're aboard a pirate ship, not the glamorous, over-the-top kind from the movies, but a floating, splintery chaos of sweat, rum, and endless chores. It smells like damp rope and roasted fish, and frankly, you probably won't survive this week. But tonight, you've got more immediate concerns. Not sea monsters, not scurvy, not even the captain's mood swings. No, your problem is dental. You've got a mouth full of surprisingly white, strong teeth, and you're about to find out why.so. Before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're feeling cozy, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing where you're all listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It starts with your diet. Or, well, the lack of it. As a Caribbean pirate, your daily meals come from whatever can't run away fast enough, or sink. Salty pork, pickled fish, a few sad beans, and rock-hard sea biscuits that could double as cannonballs. Sugar? Sure, if you can steal some. And sand? It finds its way into everything, like a gritty seasoning you never asked for. Oddly, this combination does your teeth some favors. Salt acts like a natural antibacterial. You chew your way through dried meats preserved in enough brine to turn a tongue into a slug. Salt scrapes, dries, and disinfects. Historians still argue whether pirates understood this or just liked salty snacks, but either way, it helped. Meanwhile, the lack of processed sugar, at least early in your voyage, means less acid erosion. You're not sipping soda or gnawing taffy. And sure, when the loot is good and there's molasses to spare, you might indulge in a syrup-drenched spiral of cavities, but for the most part, it's a surprisingly low-sugar life. Now, those biscuits. Those legendary, soul-crushing hardtacks. Some were so tough, you had to soak them in soup for hours, and even then, chewing them felt like jaw-arm wrestling. But as you grind through each bite, bits of sand from the flour mill and the ship's storage barrels sneak in, scouring your enamel like pirate-grade toothpaste. Imagine that. You're cleaning your teeth with a rock-studded cookie. Somehow, it's working. The water situation also plays a role. You drink rum because the water is usually full of algae, rat droppings, and despair. But in port, or if you're lucky, you might swish down some fresh rainwater, giving your mouth a rinse it sorely needs. Still, don't expect minty freshness. Most pirates smell like regret and dried mangoes, not toothpaste commercials. A cheeky fringe theory suggests some pirates even use tiny bits of coral or shell to scrub their mouths. Nature's dental floss, if you're feeling daring. Of course, you risk chipping a molar, but hey, what's adventure without a little self-dental danger? It's not all good news, though. That sand? It wears down enamel too. You might not get many cavities, but tooth sensitivity becomes your new personality trait. And let's not even talk about the occasional tooth abscess that swells your cheek like a cursed mango. Still, compared to your European naval enemies, men rotting from the inside out on a steady diet of beer, flour paste, and cabin fever, you've got quite the gleaming grin. Enough that prisoners sometimes think pirates were wealthy just because their teeth look so intact. And if you're imagining rows of golden grills and bejeweled smiles, well, we'll get to that later. For now, just know that the Caribbean, blistering sun, salty air, unfiltered diets, and all, gives you the dental equivalent of a spa treatment by accident. You spend your days hacking ropes, climbing masts, and swapping stories about ghost ships, all with that weird, nagging pride that you can still chew sugarcane without bleeding. Of course. One sailor swears he knew a man who gargled with seawater every morning and could bite through rope. Another claims pirates who chewed raw mango seeds never lost a tooth, even in a brawl. You nod along, because arguing facts at sea is a great way to end up swabbing the deck with your shirt. So yes, your pirate diet is basically a grim, salty, gritty miracle. No kale smoothies or floss, just bone-dried biscuits, salty meat, and some very questionable chewing strategies. And somehow, your teeth are still shiny. The moment you first bit into a lime, you didn't expect it to change the course of your seafaring life. It scorched your tongue, curled your eyebrows, and made your eyes water like you just heard the captain try to sing. But little did you know, that sharp jolt of citrus was more than just a flavor punch, it was dental destiny in disguise. You see, out here under the Caribbean sun, scurvy isn't just an old-timey threat. It's a sneaky, creeping menace that makes your gums bleed, your teeth loosen, and your mood spiral like an anchor with no chain. A few weeks without fresh produce, and suddenly your breath smells like old rope, your mouth is spongy, and your crewmates start whispering about dead man's teeth. The fix? Citrus. Oranges, lemons, limes, anything you can get your sticky hands on. British naval officers eventually figured it out too, earning them the nickname limeys, though pirates were already nibbling on anything green and juicy long before it became policy. You, personally, get your citrus from a sweaty trade with an island vendor who speaks 3 languages and still won't smile. Limes are more common than lemons in this part of the sea, and they store better in barrels. They become more than medicine, their currency, ritual, and garnish. You squeeze them into rainwater, onto dried fish, and occasionally into your crewmate's eye when he's not looking. Historians still argue whether pirates knew why citrus helped, whether they understood vitamin C before it had a name, or just knew that sailors who ate oranges didn't bleed from the gums and keel over mid-song. Either way, pirates adopted the habit with enthusiasm and maybe a little flair. You've even seen one captain order a wedge of lime with every ration of rum, which sounds classy until you realize he eats the rind and throws the rest away. There's a semi-famous story of a French buccaneer who kept a lemon tree on the deck of his ship. Not in a pot, just loosely roped to a barrel so it wouldn't roll overboard. He talked to it, named it Marguerite, and swore it kept his teeth white and his soul clean. That may not be peer-reviewed science, but it's very pirate science. Of course, there's the downside. Citrus is acidic. Too much and your enamel starts to wear down. That perfect pirate grin begins to fade around the edges, turning into a patchwork of yellow chips and lime-induced sensitivity. Still, compared to losing teeth to scurvy and chewing your meals sideways, it's a small price to pay. Some ships get clever. They mix lemon juice into drinking water to mask the taste of moldy barrels. Others make what's politely called citrus grog, a questionable blend of watered-down rum and lime juice that tastes like sadness but gets the job done. There's even the occasional citrus challenge. Who can suck on a lemon sliced the longest without making a face? Spoiler, nobody wins. Now, it's not just the European pirates who carry citrus. The Caribbean itself is a lush garden of fruit if you know where to look. Indigenous peoples have been chewing wild oranges and fermenting tamarind long before any ship's flag sailed in. You learn from them, often the hard way, that the juiciest fruit isn't always the safest, and that certain berries will clean your mouth, or end your voyage early. Still, it's the limes that save your smile. You tuck one into your shirt pocket like a lucky charm. You dream of citrus groves the way some men dream of gold. And once, during a raid, you pass up a chest of jewels in favor of a basket of green lemons. The crew calls you Tooth Fairy for a month, but your breath never smelled fresher. Over time, this habit becomes legend. Some pirates grow long in the tooth, literally, because they still have all of them. One grizzled sailor with a citrus obsession becomes famous for his blinding grin, which he uses to startle enemies before stabbing them. Others follow his example. You start to notice more and more pirates smiling in portraits. Grim, lopsided grins full of healthy, suspiciously bright teeth. There's even one tale of a pirate who got captured, not because he was slow, but because his captors saw his white smile glinting in the moonlight. Your own teeth feel stronger now, less sore. You run your tongue along them during storms and whisper thank you to every citrus tree on the nearest island. You're not just surviving, you're smiling. You don't have a toothbrush. That concept, a little stick with bristles you gently massage across your molars, is more of a luxury item these days. On your ship, oral hygiene looks more like wood, bone, or whatever's lying around. But you make do. In fact, you get creative. Each morning, or what passes for morning beneath a grimy sky, you reach for your twig. It's about the length of your hand, stripped of bark on one end and gently chewed to fray the fibers. Your gums know the rhythm now. Scrub left, scrub right, spit overboard, repeat. You use it almost religiously, mostly because the last guy who didn't lost 4 teeth in 1 month and was given the ship's ceremonial nickname, Soup Mouth. Your preferred chewing stick comes from a soft, fibrous branch, maybe guava, or if you're lucky, a piece of salvaged neem. Pirates from the African coast swear by neem. Keeps the mouth holy, one says with a wink. You try not to ask what that means. Historians still argue whether pirates adopted twig cleaning habits from indigenous sailors, enslaved Africans, or just grew tired of the taste of last night's salted fish. Either way, there's no denying the results. Chewing sticks stimulate saliva, reduce plaque, and, most importantly, they give your hands something to do while you pretend not to notice the weevils in your biscuit. Sometimes, though, you feel like leveling up. You've heard rumors of pirates carving crude toothpicks from bird bones. One man even claims he sharpened a seagull femur into a dental dagger. It sounds painful, possibly illegal, but he flashes the cleanest incisors on the ship, so you don't argue. Then there's turtle shell. Flat, thin shards, brittle but smooth enough to scrape without slicing. You once watched a sailor gingerly slide one between his molars like he was tuning a harp. He swore by it, right up until the piece snapped and lodged itself between his gums for 2 days. Still, you keep a spare shard in your pocket, just in case. Of course, you also get the overachievers. One pirate, nicknamed Floss, made a reputation for himself by unraveling rope fibers and running them between his teeth after every meal. His gums bled like he'd been in a bar fight, but his breath smelled vaguely of mint, thanks to his obsession with chewing wild herbs. Most of the crew, though, stick to twigs and fingers. You scrape, poke, rinse with rum, and call it a day. It's not glamorous, but there's something almost meditative about it. The rhythmic chew, the soft crunch, the briny breeze cooling your cheeks while you stare into the endless blue and try to remember how long it's been since your last real bath. And don't underestimate the social side of pirate tooth cleaning. You've had entire conversations while chewing on wood, comparing bark quality, trading tips, and inventing elaborate lies about your grandmother's secret tooth rituals. One sailor insists his family used star anise to polish their teeth. Another says his grandfather bit on cloves soaked in seawater and lived to 102. These stories pile up like seaweed on the bow. Mostly nonsense, but they pass the time and keep you believing you'll wake up tomorrow with all your teeth still in place. There's even a sort of pirate etiquette about it. You don't borrow another man's chew stick. You don't clean your teeth over the food barrel. And if someone starts scraping too loudly during the captain's storytelling hour, well, they're likely to find themselves hanging upside down from the rigging for the night. But beyond tradition and survival, there's something else in the ritual, a weird kind of dignity. On a ship that smells like damp rope and panic, where food is scarce and your pillow is often just your boot, you still take 5 minutes to keep your teeth clean. Because even if the cannonballs fly tomorrow, even if you get boarded, raided, or marooned, at least you'll face it all with a clean mouth. And when a sailor from another ship squints at you across the tavern and mutters, "How the hell do you still have teeth?" you just smile. Maybe flash a bit of stick-shredded bark from between your molars. Let him wonder. So you keep chewing. Keep scraping. Keep rinsing with questionable liquids and picking out salt grains like they're precious gems. Your teeth gleam faintly in the moonlight, like little ivory secrets. It starts as a habit. Then, somehow, it turns into a group event. You're standing near the ship's rail, chewing on your twig, working the same corner of your mouth like a dog with a favorite bone. The guy next to you, Rodrigo, maybe? You're still not sure, starts doing the same. Then another. Before long, half the crew's at it, all chewing, scraping, and rinsing with the occasional spit flying overboard like synchronized swimmers who gave up halfway through training. Pirate dentistry, it turns out, is a communal ritual. There's no shame here. Nobody's hiding in the dark, ashamed of their molars. You clean your teeth like you sharpen your cutlass, out in the open, surrounded by friends, with occasional commentary. If someone's got a particularly stubborn bit of hardtack lodged between their canines, 3 guys will gather around with suggestions, all of them terrible. One offers a fishbone. Another suggests lighting it on fire. The third just shrugs and says, "Pull the tooth." Less drama. And maybe it's strange, but on a ship full of secrets, backstabbing, and the occasional mutiny, this small act of shared humanity feels oddly comforting. You take turns comparing scrape marks on your chew sticks. One sailor starts rating everyone's dental stick like it's a pub competition. That one's a 9. Clean grain. No splinters. Another guy carves his initials into his twig and threatens anyone who tries to copy him. It's also a moment of calm, one of the rare ones, where nobody's shouting, no sails are tearing, and nobody's trying to climb the rigging while drunk. The sky turns soft pink. The gulls squawk like grumpy grandmothers. And all around you are grown men and women gnawing on wood like nervous squirrels. Historians still argue whether this oral hygiene tradition truly became social custom, or if pirates were just bored and oddly tooth-conscious. But skeletal remains from Caribbean digs suggest something was happening. Teeth show where patterns consistent with regular abrasion, but not decay. Whatever the motivation, something was clearly working. There's even an unspoken pirate code around it. If someone's mouth starts to stink, like really stink, they'll find a spare chew stick mysteriously placed beside their hammock. No one says anything. No accusations. Just a subtle gift from the hygiene fairies of the sea. And then there are the pair routines. The pirate equivalent of a couple's spa day. One partner holds the other's hair while they spit. Someone gently hums while another flosses with a strip of sail thread. It's weirdly tender, considering you all threatened to kill each other over the last smoked herring just 2 days ago. You've also seen people do it during storytelling hour. The old-timers with missing fingers and suspicious tattoos will lean back, chew thoughtfully, and clean their teeth with slow, deliberate strokes while spinning tales about sea monsters, cursed treasure, and the time someone tried to brush their teeth with black powder and lost an eyebrow. Sometimes, it becomes competitive. A crew member once swore he could clean his whole mouth in 60 seconds flat. The others gathered around, cheered, timed him. He finished in 58 seconds, then promptly bit his tongue and declared himself cursed. Nobody timed themselves again. And don't forget the communal rinse barrel. It's theoretically for washing hands, but at least 3 of your shipmates dip their mouths into it regularly, swish, and spit back in. This is why you bring your own cup, carved from a coconut shell and fiercely guarded. One pirate, known only as Ducky, insists on sharing fresh breath herbs he keeps in a pouch around his neck. Dried mint, crushed cloves, and something he swears is jungle cinnamon. It smells like old rum and pipe dreams, but hey, it makes your tongue tingle and your breath slightly less murderous. You chew, nod approvingly, and accept your honorary membership in the Tooth Brotherhood. What's even stranger? Captain's notice. A pirate who shows up for duty with clean teeth and fresh breath is somehow respected. Like you care enough not to be rotting from the mouth, you must care enough to steer this ship straight. There's a logic to it. Maybe not great logic, but pirate logic. Somehow, across weeks and storms and ship repairs and duels over hammocks, the crew starts to bond over their teeth. You joke about starting a guild. Someone tries to invent a toothbrush with rope bristles. Another guy ties two sticks together and calls it double cleaning. It doesn't work. And still, every morning, as the sun crawls over the sea and the sails flap lazily in the breeze, you gather at the rail. One by one, everyone chews, scrapes, spits, smiles. You're pirates. You smell like old boots and fermented fear. But your teeth? Spotless. It's not all citrus and chew sticks, though. Let's talk about the most beloved, most abused, most misunderstood dental substance in the pirate world, rum. You drink it to forget. You drink it because water might kill you faster. You drink it because it's Thursday. But tonight you're swishing it between your teeth and pretending it's mouthwash. Which, in a way, it kind of is. Rum, believe it or not, plays an accidental role in oral hygiene aboard the average pirate ship. It's harsh, it's acidic, it's full of sugar, sure, but it's also antiseptic. Swish a bit around after a questionable meal of dried fish and maybe fungus, and suddenly you're killing mouth bacteria with the same substance that gave you a black eye last night. Historians still argue whether pirates intentionally used rum for cleaning their teeth or if it was just a happy byproduct of their constant drinking. Some evidence, like ship journals noting mouth rinses before battle, suggests there might have been a method to the madness. Or maybe someone just didn't want to die with mackerel breath. Of course, the rot always lurks at the edges. The kind of rot that creeps in slowly, quietly, with the smile of an old toothless bosun who tells you, "Ain't the rum that kills the teeth, it's the hangover." Because yes, rum also comes with sugar. Lots of it. Molasses thick, tooth-hating sugar that clings to your molars like barnacles on a hull. And over time, especially for those who never bothered with chew sticks or citrus, you start to see the damage. First a little discoloration, then sensitivity, then the infamous rum rot, where your back teeth blacken like burned toast and fall out mid-conversation. Still, you carry a flask with you. Everyone does. You tell yourself it's for emergencies, dental, social, or otherwise. One time, you chipped a molar on a rock-hard biscuit and poured a shot of rum directly into your mouth, hoping it would disinfect the wound. It burned. You wept. Your crewmates applauded. Sometimes you see pirates with little wooden cups dangling from their belts, always ready for a rinse, or a swig, or a toast. It blurs together. Is this for hygiene or drinking? Yes, they reply. Then there are the myths. One pirate, known as Captain Clove, claims he soaks cloves in rum and swishes with it nightly, insisting it keeps his teeth blessed by the sea gods. You try it once. Your mouth goes numb. You forget your own name for an hour. Not bad. There's also the spicy rinse, rum infused with crushed peppercorns and star anise. The logic? It burns away the bacteria. The reality? You feel like your mouth fought a small, angry volcano and lost. Others take it further. You once met a navigator who mixed rum with ash from burned seaweed and dabbed it onto his gums using a feather. He said it stopped infections. He also talked to his shoes, so you take it with a grain of salt. Still, There's something about the ritual of it. After meals, after fights, after nights sleeping on damp rope, you swish. It stings. It cleans. It distracts. And in the morning you spit it into the sea like an offering. You start to notice that the older pirates, the ones who've lasted more than a few storms, tend to use their rum with intention. They clean their eating knives in it. They rinse their mouths before bed. They dab it on cuts, blisters, and suspicious bites. It's part medicine, part religion, part excuse. And the flavor? It's awful. Fermented molasses with hints of despair and warm barrelwood. But once you've lost the taste for clean water, it grows on you. Like dental Stockholm Syndrome. One night, during a particularly long watch, you and two crewmates invent something called the pirate mouthwash ritual. One person swishes, then passes the cup. Everyone spits. Then you toast to your teeth and pray the rats don't find the biscuit stash again. It becomes tradition. Every Thursday, right before sunset. Pirate mouthwash hour. Sure, your dentist, if you had one, would weep. But out here, it's the closest thing you have to dental care. Between the salt air, the twig scraping, the citrus nibbling, and the occasional rum rinse, you're keeping the worst at bay. And when a merchant captain sneers at you from across the dock and says, "You pirates are filthy," you just smile, bright, white, and slightly tipsy, because your teeth, they've never been cleaner. You've rinsed with rum. You've chewed on twigs. But now, you're doing something far more spiritual. It begins with a toothache that won't quit. A low, throbbing misery behind your left molar. You've scraped, swished, cursed, and even considered knocking it out with the butt of your flintlock pistol. But someone whispers a different kind of cure, one that involves no tools, just faith, friction, and maybe a little fear. Welcome to the world of pirate dental superstition. It starts with scraping your gums. Not gently. Aggressively. One sailor tells you to rub your molars with a shark's tooth. Chases out the pain demons, he says without blinking. Another recommends sea salt and crushed coral, applied with the index finger and accompanied by a whispered curse against mouth worms. Historians still argue whether these rituals were holdovers from indigenous practices, remnants of African spiritual traditions brought through the brutal passage of the slave trade, or simply desperate pirate improvisations. The truth, as always, floats somewhere in between. Tonight you try it yourself. You take a pinch of salt from the barrel, yes, the same barrel someone just dropped an eel into, and mix it with crushed dried mint from a pouch you've carried since Tortuga. Then you press it into your gums, grinding it in with a scrap of rough canvas. It hurts. A lot. But when you spit, the blood's bright and clean. And afterward, your mouth feels oddly fresh, like you've just licked a thunderstorm. Others around you adopt similar methods. One pirate carries a pouch of volcanic ash and dabs it on sore teeth like it's holy water. Another wears a necklace of tiny fish bones, claiming it wards off mouth rot. It doesn't, but it looks cool. There's even a growing belief that dental pain is a sign of bad luck, or worse, cursed treasure. One unlucky deckhand develops a nasty abscess and swears it started the moment he touched a coin engraved with a screaming sun. The crew promptly tosses the coin overboard, along with his hammock and half his shoes. Just to be safe. Superstition has always thrived at sea, and teeth, so personal, so fragile, become natural targets for magical thinking. You find yourself muttering charms while chewing, tapping your canine 3 times on the mast before meals, or avoiding any crewmate whose mouth smells like unspoken death. Yes, that's a real phrase someone uses. You don't ask for clarification. And then there's the sea glass ritual. One evening, a man named Yago, broad shoulders, missing a pinky, hands you a sliver of blue sea glass. Run it along your gum line, he says. Don't talk. Just do it. And throw it in the sea when you're done. You obey, because Yago has the kind of presence that suggests he's either very wise or very unhinged. The glass is smooth, cool, and strangely soothing. You feel a bit foolish, until the ache in your mouth subsides the next day. Coincidence? Probably. But when Yago offers more sea glass the following week, you don't hesitate. There are other beliefs too, stranger still. Some say if you lose a tooth at sea and don't throw it overboard before sundown, your next voyage will be your last. Others claim burying a tooth under the mast strengthens the ship's spine. You once see someone tying a wisdom tooth into a knotted charm and offering it to the cook. Nobody eats that stew. But beyond all the rituals and myths, there's a certain logic hidden in the madness. Scraping the gums increases blood flow. Salt and mint fight bacteria. Sea glass is, well, at least it's not rusty. And more than anything, the belief in these routines gives you some small sense of control. Because teeth, once they go, don't grow back. And out here, miles from anything resembling a dentist, belief might be your best medicine. So you keep up your rituals. Salt in the morning, mint at midday, sea glass before bed. Maybe they help. Maybe they don't. But your teeth are still in your mouth, not floating in a rinse cup somewhere. And that, in pirate terms, is a miracle worth chewing on. The crew calls him Sawbones, but you never catch his real name. Some say it's Gareth. Others claim it's just Document. What you do know is this: he's got the steadiest hands on the ship, the worst bedside manner, and an unsettling fondness for humming lullabies while performing dental work. Tonight, you're in his care. Your gum is swollen. Your molar throbs like a drumbeat. You've tried every remedy: salt, citrus, sea glass, even that weird turtle shell scrape technique. But now, the only option left is the thing you've feared most: pirate surgery. The surgeon's office is a corner of the lower deck, lit by a single swinging lantern and smelling faintly of old rum, sweat, and maybe a hint of roasted onion. You sit on a crate. He sits on an upside-down bucket. Between you, a roll of rags, a small wooden mallet, a pair of rust-speckled forceps, and a bone saw he insists he doesn't usually use for teeth. He tells you to open wide. You hesitate. He raises an eyebrow and taps his mallet. Now you open. Pirate surgery is never graceful, but it's efficient. Sawbones gets to work, inspecting the tooth with all the delicacy of someone poking at driftwood. He mutters. Rot's set in deep. He doesn't ask if you want it pulled. That's not a question anymore. He gives you two options: bite down on a leather strap, or bite down on your own pride. You choose the leather. What follows is a blur of pressure, cracking, searing pain, and the distant sound of someone vomiting upstairs, probably unrelated. You want to scream, but the strap muffles everything. And then, suddenly, it's over. He holds up the tooth like a trophy. It's black near the root and still dripping. Nice curve, he says. You pass out. When you wake, someone's pressed a rag soaked in rum to your cheek. There's blood on your shirt. Your head feels like it's been through a cannon barrel, but the toothache is gone. You survived. Barely. Now, the ship's surgeon wasn't technically trained in dentistry. Most weren't. They were barbers, butchers, or whoever had the fewest qualms about cutting into living people. Tools were often repurposed: fish hooks for stitching, pliers for extractions, broken bottlenecks as tongue depressors. If it could clamp, twist, or cut, it had a job. Historians still argue whether some pirate surgeons were actually better than their naval counterparts, mostly because they had to be. Out here, far from any civilized port or proper hospital, the only treatment is fast, rough, and desperate. And yet, somehow, it works. The pirate who lost 3 teeth last week is now eating salted fish again. The sailor with the abscessed jaw is carving his initials into the mast and swearing he feels 20 years younger. The guy who swore off all dental help. Well, he's not really swearing anything anymore. You become obsessed with the surgeon's toolkit. He carries it everywhere in a cracked leather pouch. Inside are tools for cutting, clamping, gouging, and occasionally, decorating. One of the strangest items is a curved spoon-like implement called a dental elevator. He uses it to loosen roots before pulling. You once see him do it with a seashell, though, so you're not sure how official any of this is. And Sawbones? He's not unkind. Just clinical. He once pulled 3 teeth in a storm, bracing himself between barrels while lightning split the sky above. He hums during procedures, not because he enjoys it, but because it helps him focus. That's what he says anyway. No one asks follow-up questions. Some pirates are terrified of him. Others treat him like a wizard. You're somewhere in between, grateful, but cautious. There are legends about ship surgeons using maggots to clean infected wounds, applying honey to gums to soothe swelling, or even stitching gold foil into damaged molars. You haven't seen that last one, but Sawbones does keep a pouch of beeswax for temporary fillings. It smells awful but holds surprisingly well. Occasionally he experiments. He once tried numbing a jaw with cold seawater and eel slime. The results were mixed. Another time, he attempted to cauterize a cracked tooth with a heated knife. The poor soul still whistles through his cheek. But every now and then, the pirate surgeon performs a small miracle. A sailor smiles after weeks of silence. Someone who couldn't eat can now gnaw on tough meat without flinching. These moments ripple through the crew like secret blessings. And you? You're back to your chew stick, but with a newfound respect for the man with the mallet. Because out here, between storms and salt and sword fights, your best defense against losing your grin isn't lucked out, it's the guy with the steady hands and the stained apron. You first notice it during a raid on a Spanish treasure sloop. Not the gold, not the silk, those are expected. No, what catches your eye is a flash of something shiny. Inside someone's mouthed out a sailor, tied at the wrists, snarls at your captain with a grin that glints like moonlight on calm water. Gold teeth. Not just one, either 3, maybe 4. Bright, polished, and clearly intentional. Back on your own ship, the crew buzzes about it like bees around spilled molasses. That man smiled like a king, someone says. Must be some kind of noble. Another chimes in. Or a lunatic with too much time and metal. That night, around the fire pit set into the deck's iron grate, the debate rages. Vanity or practicality? Decoration or dentistry? And slowly, a new kind of pirate envy sets in, not for treasure or territory, but for style. Specifically dental flair. You hear stories. Tales of buccaneers melting down stolen coins to fill in tooth gaps. Some carve false teeth from ivory. Others simply jam gold leaf between their molars and call it a smile shield. A few shipmates start experimenting. You see one trying to press a tiny gemstone into a chipped incisor using the back of a spoon. He ends up swallowing it and spends 2 days watching the toilet bucket in hope. Historians still argue whether golden teeth among pirates were functional, symbolic, or just plain pirate peacocking. But dig sites around old ports have uncovered remains with clear signs of decorative modification. Teeth filed into points. Gaps filled with soft metal. Sometimes a tooth is pulled clean just to make room for a more fashionable one. You're skeptical, until you meet portside Lucille. She boards your ship during a midnight exchange, looking like someone who chews cannonballs for breakfast. Her teeth are gleaming rows of metal, part brass, part silver, with a single ruby glinting in the front like a bloody wink. She speaks clearly, commands instant respect, and allegedly once bit through a coin to prove it wasn't counterfeit. "I had bad teeth as a girl," she says. "Figured I'd swap them out for something shinier. And why not? After all, teeth are the one thing people see when you grin, threaten, or laugh. For pirates, who live and die by reputation, your mouth is your banner. Some captains encourage it. A well-placed sparkle can intimidate just as much as a drawn sword. There's a tale of one crew who coated their front teeth with powdered bone and lime, creating a ghostly effect that terrified an entire merchant convoy into surrender. Not everyone's into it, of course. The old guard grumbles. "Back in my day, teeth were for eating, not showing off," mutters a cook with half his teeth missing. But secretly, even he carves a small silver molar charm to wear around his neck. You get curious. You try rubbing soot onto your teeth to darken them. For mystery, you claim. It mostly makes you look like you've been chewing coal, but someone compliments your dangerous smile, so you keep it. Some pirates take a more symbolic approach. A missing tooth becomes a badge of honor. You once meet a man who replaces a lost incisor with a shark tooth tied in with string. "Bitten once, now I bite back," he growls, and everyone nods like that's completely normal. And let's not forget the gold itself. When it's plentiful, pirates will get creative. You hear about a guy in Nassau who runs a side hustle fashioning dental plates out of stolen doubloons. He has a waiting list. Apparently, nothing screams pirate success like eating a fish head with gold fillings. Still, there's a darker side. You also hear about pirates who rip teeth from others during raids, not for torture, but for repurposing. "Free dental supply," one brute jokes. He's missing 2 fingers but never short on molars. Whether for intimidation, identity, or sheer flamboyance, one thing is clear: pirate mouths are rarely boring. They're decorated, customized, and sometimes weaponized. And you haven't gone full gold yet. But you are polishing your front teeth with extra care these days. Just in case someone's watching. Just in case reputation gleams brighter than any coin. Because in a world where smiles can frighten or charm, you're realizing one truth: even at sea, style matters. Especially when it's attached to your jaw. You're hunched over a crate in the galley, staring at a mold-speckled hunk of ship's biscuit that might once have been edible. You knock it against the wooden plank. It sounds like a warning bell. And still, you're going to eat it. Because in the pirate world, food isn't gentle. It's not plated with parsley and served under candlelight. It's survival, weapon, and dental hazard all at once. Your teeth have seen worse. Dried fish with scales like armor. Salt pork cured during some long-forgotten century. Beans so undercooked they crunch. But the true test of dental durability? Ship's biscuit. Imagine a cracker baked until every drop of mercy has been scorched from its soul. Then store it in a barrel for 6 months beside a family of weevils. You bite, and it bites back. This is where pirate teeth earn their pay. To soften it, some sailors soak their biscuit in water, rum, or even stew, if there's any to spare. You've seen someone bash theirs with a hammer before nibbling. Others don't bother. They bite directly, risking chipped molars for a meal that tastes like drywall and regret. Historians still argue whether ship's biscuit was the primary cause of pirate tooth loss or just one of many culprits. But one thing's certain, it didn't help. Archaeological findings reveal fractured molars and unnatural wear patterns on jawbones from sailors of the era. 1,000 bites too hard, too fast, too desperate. Tonight you choose slowly. Each bite tests your jaw. But there's a secret in the suffering. The act of chewing hard food, consistently, actually strengthens your jaw muscles and helps dislodge stubborn plaque. It's crude, unintentional dentistry, but it works. And it's not just the biscuit. The salted meat, once dried and sunbaked beyond reason, requires the kind of jaw pressure you didn't know you were capable of. One pirate brags that eating ship rations is chewing your way to fitness. He's probably right. His jawline could cut rope. Still, there's no denying the toll. One crewmate loses a tooth mid-bite. It pops out with the sound of a cork pulled too late. He just shrugs and keeps chewing on the other side. You offer him a piece of citrus out of sympathy. He snorts and says, "Too soft." There are workarounds. You've seen pirates make biscuit mush, mixing crumbs with rainwater, herbs, and whatever you can scrounge to create a kind of pirate oatmeal. It smells like punishment, but it's easier on the enamel. You start doing it too, in secret, when no one's looking. Reputation aside, you're not ready to be Gummy, the cabin boy. Some cooks get clever. One day, a miracle. Biscuit stew. Just a few scraps of meat and some biscuit chunks simmered in rum and seaweed. It's warm. It's edible. It doesn't destroy your teeth. The crew cheers like they've found Atlantis. But for most meals, it's the same hard fare. Dried beans. Pickled vegetables that lost their crunch weeks ago. A slice of something that might be cheese, but could also be wax. You gnaw, grind, and gulp, and strangely, you adapt. Your bite becomes stronger. Your teeth, those still hanging on, grow tougher. You learn to chew from the side. To favor the molars with less pain. To suck on harder foods before committing to the full crunch. One pirate, missing half his front teeth, learns to crush food with his palms and eat it like porridge. He calls it pre-chewing. It's weirdly effective. You try it once and never tell anyone. Of course, some pirates fake it. They pretend to eat the biscuit, then pocket it for trade, dog feed, or impromptu weaponry. A stale biscuit, thrown hard, can bruise like a cannonball. Someone once used one to knock out a rat mid-sprint. By the end of the week, you develop a sixth sense for edible density. You tap food before biting. You listen for that subtle difference between chewable and abandon hope. So while the sea might rot your boots and the sun peel your skin, it's the food that keeps your jaw honest. Every bite is a gamble. Every meal a dental dare. But somehow you keep chewing. And every time you bite into something that doesn't shatter your enamel, you count it as a victory. Because if pirate life is rough, pirate food is a test, and your teeth, for now, are still passing. Every ship has its quiet tricks. Little routines the crew swears by, handed down like sacred knowledge scrawled in the margins of an old sea chart. And when it comes to keeping your teeth, those precious, imperiled pearls of pirate pride, there are a few whispered techniques you've come to rely on. None of them are official. There are no manuals, no lectures. Just odd habits repeated in hammocks, on deck, or while half sober near the galley. But they work. Or at least, they feel like they do. And at sea, that's enough. Take citrus peels, for instance. Everyone knows the value of citrus, scurvy's ancient enemy, the pirate's bitter friend. But it's not just the juice. Some crewmates chew the peels themselves. Not swallow, chew. They say it cleans the teeth from the outside in. The bitterness? That's just the flavor of health. You give it a try. The first chew is eye-watering. Pithy, sour, waxy. But after a minute, it becomes bearable. Then strangely satisfying. And your mouth? It feels sharper. Like you just sandblasted your tongue. Historians still argue whether chewing citrus peels had real dental merit, or if it simply gave pirates something tart to do when bored. Modern science leans toward the former. Citrus oils can combat bacteria, and the chewing action stimulates saliva, nature's first toothbrush. Then there's salt. Not just rinsing with it. Brushing with it. A handful of your shipmates use a dab of salt pressed into their chewing stick. Others mix it with crushed charcoal or ashes from the galley fire, forming a gritty, improvised paste. You once see a man using a splintered plank edge dipped in black salt to scrape at his molars with surgical focus. He looked like a dentist possessed. But the next day, his grin was the cleanest on the ship. You try your own version. Sea salt mixed with mint leaf powder, dabbed onto a damp cloth and scrubbed in slow circles. It stings. It works. You use it again the next night, and then there's the sunbite. After meals, some pirates sit facing the sun with mouths slightly open, like basking reptiles. One explains it like this: sun dries the rot. Light scares off decay. You think it sounds ridiculous until you try it. You sit still for 10 minutes, warm salt air on your gums, sunlight trickling across your tongue. You feel oddly cleansed, slightly crispy, and for some reason smug. You add it to your routine. One of the more eccentric practices comes from a Trinidadian gunner named Maris. Every morning, he taps each tooth with the hilt of his dagger. Just making sure they're still solid, he says. You don't want to learn about a loose one mid-fight. Another sailor, old Jenks, who once claimed to be part of Blackbeard's kitchen crew, chews licorice root 3 times a day. Not for flavor, he says, but to keep the mouth spirits friendly. You're not sure if that's superstition or just a clever way to avoid biscuit crumbs. Even those who don't care for hygiene still fall into certain habits. Picking teeth with splinters, spitting after every meal, gargling with whatever liquid's closest. One guy even uses a broken shell like dental floss. He bleeds every time. He doesn't care. And here's the thing, these tricks work together. There's no single magic cure. No secret that keeps every tooth intact. It's the layering. A salt scrub here, a citrus chew there, a midday sun bite, a nighttime rum swish. Rinse, repeat, survive. You realize your own routine has formed without you noticing. Wake up. Rinse with rain barrel water. Chew citrus peel. Scrape with your frayed stick. Rub a dab of mint salt mixed into the gum line. Check your molars with your tongue like a sentry walking the walls. You don't write it down, but your body remembers. Sometimes you compare notes with other pirates. You trade peels for mint. Someone offers you a splinter of sweetwood, great for breath. Another boasts about a waxy bark that makes your gums feel like silk. You nod, try it later, and accidentally numb your tongue for 6 hours. Lesson learned. But among the crew, there's a growing sense that oral care isn't just survival, it's identity. You can tell where someone's from by the way they clean their teeth. African pirates favor roots and ash. Caribbean-born sailors prefer citrus and clove. The old British ones? Mostly rum and muttering. One day, your captain announces a contest. Best smile wins a pouch of fresh clothes and an extra hammock blanket. Everyone lines up. Some with stained grins, others with gleaming ivory. A few even added polish, shell powder, maybe, or bone dust. The winner? A quiet deckhand named Nell who's been brushing with dried lime skin and fish bone bristles for months. No one's surprised. You lie back that night, mouth slightly minty, breath less terrifying than usual, and think, this is it. Not treasure. Not glory. Just a clean smile and a good hammock. Because when your teeth still work, and shine, even a little, you've already won. You're leaning against the railing one morning, tongue tracing your teeth like they're a row of tiny gravestones, just checking who's still alive. And then, from the upper deck, someone shouts, "Breakfast!" That's not unusual. What is unusual is what's in the pot. Papaya. A crate of it, just hauled aboard from a small cove where you'd stop to collect water and maybe scare off some wild pigs. It's a rare treat, bright orange, soft, a little fermented around the edges. but still wildly luxurious compared to the usual salt rock cuisine. You take a bite. It melts. It's sweet and almost medicinal. And your gums, sore from 3 days of dry biscuit and bark chewing, breathe a silent sigh of relief. Turns out, tropical fruits like papaya, guava, and pineapple don't just taste good, they do strange, wonderful things to your pirate mouth. Historians still argue whether pirates knew they were helping their teeth when they sought out these fruits, or if they just liked the taste and lucked into oral salvation. But modern science? It backs the idea. Papaya contains enzymes like papain, which help break down debris stuck between teeth. Pineapple's got bromelain, similar idea, plus a gentle acidity that cuts through crud on some ships. This becomes a low-key obsession. One quartermaster tries mashing papaya into a paste and smearing it along his gum line. Another pirate, Rosalia, missing 3 front teeth but proud as a parrot, starts packing dried guava leaf powder into a bit of cloth and sucking on it like candy. Keeps the mouth clear, she says. Better than any rum rinse. And maybe it's placebo. But nobody's complaining. The ship's cook even joins in. He starts slipping mango peel into the stew. For texture, he claims. But really, it's for the effect. After a week, half the crew's breath smells better, and even Sawbones notes less blood than usual. During extractions, you hear whispers about a pirate surgeon in Barbados who swore by pineapple skin. He'd boil it down with mint and serve it warm as a rinse. Some say it stung like a jellyfish in a kettle, but the results were impressive. One-eyed Craig apparently regrew part of a chipped tooth. That part's probably made up, but the story sticks that there's a rhythm to it. Hard food wears your teeth down, salty air dries them out, but fruit? Fruit is a reset button. A smile reset. You start saving bits in your pouch. A strip of dried mango, a single guava seed. Little talismans against rot. When your gums feel tender, you chew slowly, savoring the citrusy tingle and imagining your teeth sighing in relief. Some pirates turn it into a whole ceremony. One crew carves out half a papaya and fills it with seawater and clove oil. They take turns dipping their chew sticks in it like holy water. Another guy calls it mouth magic. He's very serious about it. A debate breaks out one evening. Are citrus fruits better than tropical ones? Which keeps your teeth in your head longer? You're firmly in the tropical camp now. Something about the softness paired with the enzymes makes you feel cleaner. Less like you're scraping, more like you're healing. You even notice your sleep improving. Could be the fruit, could be the placebo, could be the lack of exploding molars waking you at midnight. Either way, you'll take it. And here's the best part. Fruit doesn't carry the weight of other treatments. There's no superstition, no blood, no rum hangover. It's gentle. It feels like nature remembering to be kind, even in the middle of a brutal sea. You imagine a new kind of pirate reputation. Not just feared. Not just ruthless. But radiantly dentally competent. Smiling with confidence before a boarding. Flashing those papaya-kissed teeth while demanding surrender. And honestly, it works. The next time you speak to a merchant crew, they flinch not at your sword, but at your clean, healthy smile. Because somewhere between survival and vanity, you've learned this simple, leafy truth. A pirate with fruit is a pirate who still has their teeth. The sky is clear for once. A pale breeze hums across the deck, and you sit, legs dangling over the side, holding a mirror the size of your palm. It's cracked, naturally, but functional. You squint, twist, and peer into your open mouth, examining the back teeth like they're hiding treasure. That's when the captain walks by and says, "Still got 'em all? Then you're doing better than most." And he's not wrong. It hits you. On this ship, dental survival isn't just a personal victory, it's a status symbol. The fewer teeth you're missing, the higher you're standing. A full set means you've outlasted the worst of it. The biscuit grind, the infection storms, the rum breath of your cabin mate. And people notice that there's even a kind of hierarchy. Top tier pirates, first mate material, have intact molars, strong canines, and gums that don't bleed when you sneeze. Mid tier? Missing one or two, maybe a gold replacement. Still respectable. The bottom rung? Soft food crew. Spoon chewers. Whisper grinners. You don't want to end up there. So you polish, pick, and guard your smile like it's made of pearls. And suddenly, so does everyone else. What started as quiet routines becomes competitive. Who has the cleanest tongue? The whitest incisors? The least alarming breath? Historians still argue whether pirates consciously linked dental hygiene to status, or if it evolved naturally out of sheer necessity. Either way, by now, it's woven into ship culture. Your teeth aren't just for eating, they're your resume. Take Elsa Charbite Morales. She never misses a sunrise scrape, chews only with her left side to protect her gold-capped right, and rinses with mint oil swiped from a Spanish merchant. She's got 12 visible teeth, each one flawless. Nobody questions her authority. Even the captain checks his smile before arguing with her. Then there's Jory, a newer deckhand who lost 3 molars in a fight over hammock space. His nickname? Gaps. He's lovely, but you can't unsee it. Even he jokes about eating, with the smooth parts now. Dental envy becomes real. Someone carves a comb with a mirror edge just for tooth inspections. Another pirate uses fish scales to buff their enamel. A third invents a bizarre contraption with twine, bone, and tension to pull your teeth straighter. You suspect it's nonsense, but he swears he can now whistle in 3 tones. The shift in tone is unmistakable. And no longer is oral care just survival, it's swagger. A perfect smile makes you intimidating, friendly, trustworthy, charismatic. You flash those pearlies when brokering deals. You smile, deliberately, before boarding a prize ship. And if your teeth glint in the sun? Even better, pirates start decorating them, too. A chipped incisor gets inlaid with a tiny star-shaped coin fragment. Another pirate lines the edges of his canines with brass wire. A woman named Renee files hers into delicate little points. Not scary, just fashionable. And with fashion comes rituals. Before landfall, the ship sets aside an hour, dental prep. Everyone does their version. Some scrape and rinse. Some polish with wine-soaked cloth. Others just gargle dramatically to seem like they care. One guy uses squid ink as mouthwash. For mystery. It doesn't work. But perhaps the oddest moment is when the captain institutes the smile check. Every fortnight he lines the crew up and, one by one, inspects their grins like a dental emperor. Too yellow, he says to one. Looking better, to another. Try chewing something besides rope, to a third. It's strange. It's theatrical. It becomes tradition. And you ace it. Your teeth, worn but intact, have become part of your reputation. You overhear someone refer to you as that lad with the gleam. Another says you smile like you know something. You don't, but you enjoy the compliment. Because the truth is, teeth tell stories. Not just of what you've eaten or chewed, but of what you've survived. Shipwrecks, fights, scurvy scares, salt storms, rotten fish, dried biscuit, each one a test. Each one a quiet win. So you lean back, close your mouth, and grin to yourself. Because in this strange, floating world, your clean smile isn't vanity. It's armor, and unlike a cutlass, it's with you even while you sleep. The old man appears at dusk, rowing a dinghy patched with tar and stitched sails. like a ghost sewn into canvas. The crew watches in wary silence as he climbs aboard, legs stiff, face cracked like dried leather. No one knows his name, but the captain greets him with a nod and 2 words. Tooth Merchant. You blink. Tooth Merchant, turns out he's real. A floating relic, drifting from port to port trading in dental oddities. Not just teeth, though he has those, in little velvet bags, but powders, oils, tinctures, brushes carved from whalebone, even a jar of what he claims is blessed spit. He opens his satchel like it's a treasure chest and starts displaying his wares with theatrical flair. This here's ground coral, he says, tapping a paper cone. Mix it with vinegar, rub it on the gums. Wakes the dead. Another pouch. Dried clove bud, for biting pain. Good for molars or enemies. Then a wooden case, full of false teeth shaped from ivory, shaped from walrus tusk, even one carved from something suspiciously human. Everyone gathers close. Pirates jostle like children at a market stall. It's part sideshow, part miracle tent. He's not a dentist, he makes that clear. He's a supplier, a collector, a curator of pirate oral health from across the 7 seas. Historians still argue whether these traveling, toothed men were common or just mythic. But sailor lore is full of them, wandering medics, barbers, and tooth tinkerers trading tools for stories, rum, or shelter from the storm. The merchant knows his audience. He holds up a small phial. This, he whispers, is powdered shark cartilage. Sprinkle it on a loose tooth before a fight, and you'll still be smiling when it's done. You're skeptical. He grins wide. His teeth are all bone white and perfectly even. Some say he had them carved in Havana. Others swear they're not real teeth at all, but porcelain smuggled out of China in a hollow gourd. One crewman leans in and whispers, I heard he's 120 years old and never lost a molar. Another insists he swallowed a surgeon once and absorbed his skills. You, being sensible, exchange a rusty buckle and a tale about a haunted reef for a tiny pot of coconut charcoal paste. Use it sparingly, the merchant says, unless you want teeth too white. Makes folks suspicious. The rest of the crew barters wildly. One pirate trades an emerald earring for a single carved canine, inlaid with copper. Another offers 3 sea turtle eggs for a bundle of cinnamon sprig brushes. Someone tries to pay in song. It almost works. But here's the best part. He leaves behind a book. Or part of one. Pages lashed together with fishgut twine. No title, just sketches, illustrations of strange pirate dental practices from across the globe. One shows a man balancing hot stones between his molars. Another, a diagram for a brace made from brass wire and shark skin. You pore over it for hours. Some of it's nonsense. Some of it makes terrifying sense. But all of it tells a story. Pirates cared. Not just about loot or rum or revenge, but about keeping their teeth in their heads. Long enough to bite, to smile, to chew victory when it came. You copy some of the pages. Sketch diagrams in charcoal on the inside of your sea chest lid. Try the salt and coral mix with a strip of linen. It stings, then tingles, then soothes, and the next morning, the merchant is gone. No one saw him leave. His dinghy's gone. So are 3 of the ship's oranges and someone's lucky comb. In his place, on the railing, a single tooth sits. Carved from wood. Smiling. Whether he was real or myth doesn't matter. What matters is this. Now you believe in the world of pirate dentistry as craft. As culture. Not just a necessity, but an art. And you're part of it now. You stored the charcoal paste in a dry pouch. You sketch a new flossing idea using twine and fishbone. You even consider replacing one of your back teeth with a carved token, just for style. Because if there's one thing the tooth merchant proved, It's that even pirates get to be artisans, especially when it comes to their smile. The sea is calm today, eerily so. No shouting. No cannon drills. Just the occasional groan of timber, and the creak of rope like an old man stretching in his sleep. You lie flat on the warm deck, eyes half closed, tongue pressed gently against your top row of teeth. It's not pain you're checking for. Not this time. It's just habit. Familiar. Reassuring. Because somewhere along the way, without realizing it, this ship stopped being just a floating weapon and became a kind of floating mouth. Every rope pulled tight like a ligament, every plank a patch, every meal a test of endurance and tradition. And you're not just a pirate anymore. You're a practitioner of the strange, creaky, quietly proud art of pirate dental care. You've chewed the bark, rinsed with rum, polished with ash, sucked on citrus until your tongue went numb. You've watched crewmates replace molars with coins, carve toothbrushes from driftwood, even whisper sea chants to their canines for luck. Some things work. Others, not so much. But what matters is the doing. And now, lying here in the sun, you reflect, not just on how far you've come, but how clean you've become. In the mouth, at least. Everything else still smells like salt and fish guts. You're not alone in this ritual. Around you, others have adopted their own rhythms. There's Nell, buffing her front teeth with a pinch of mint salt and her pinky knuckle. There's old Jenks, still alive somehow, still dragging a string of sponge floss between the 3 teeth he has left, humming as he goes. And Elsa Morales, your unofficial rival, who just revealed a new silver inlay shaped like a compass rose. It glints when she smiles. You hate how much you like it. Historians still argue whether pirate culture ever truly took oral hygiene seriously, or whether this is all just modern romanticizing of scoundrels with surprisingly nice teeth. But you know better. You've lived it. The toothy traditions, the secret powders passed between hammocks, the chew sticks traded like currency, the whispered methods passed down from ship to ship. This isn't an accident. It's survival turned into style. You've even started thinking long term. You're carving a little kit box now, just a scrap of cedar with compartments for your mint twigs, your ash packet, your ivory-handled scraper. You etched a tiny skull on the lid. For flair. The newer crew members have noticed. Point 1 asked you last night, "How do you keep yours so white?" You could have laughed. Instead, you handed him a clove bud and said, "Chew slow. Spit twice. Rinse with rum if you have to." He nodded like it was scripture. That's when it hit you. This isn't just about keeping teeth in your head. It's about claiming something. Dignity. Self-worth. A sense of identity amid the chaos of the sea. In a world where your clothes rot, your boots mold, and your hammock tries to strangle you every other night, a clean smile is rebellion. So you sit up, stretch your back, and pull out your chew stick. You run it over your teeth with slow, careful pressure, savoring the familiar tingle of salt and wood and control. Because today, your ship may sail into battle, or not. Today, a storm may rise, or not. But today, you've still got all your teeth, and that's a kind of pirate magic all its own. The light softens now, falling across the deck in gentle folds, turning rope and wood to gold. The sea, ever your companion, breathes quietly beneath the hull, its rhythm steady and soothing. You lie back again, eyes closed this time, arms folded beneath your head. Around you, the hush of a ship winding down, no drills, no shouting, just the occasional clink of something polished, or the low murmur of pirates brushing quietly in their own strange ways. The salt in the air doesn't sting. It comforts. Familiar. Like an old, scratchy blanket you've learned to love, and that jaw of yours, used, tested, challenged day after day, relaxes at last. No grinding, no chewing, just stillness. A kind of peace. You trace the curve of your teeth with your tongue one more time, Not looking for problems now, but just checking in. Everything's still there. Still solid. Still yours. The ship rocks gently. Your breath matches its motion. Inhale, with the swell. Exhale, with the sigh. The hum of the sea, the creak of the wood, the fading footsteps above, it all slows. You picture a dim lantern swaying just above your hammock, casting golden arcs on the planks. You let it swing, swing, swing. And as the last of the noise drifts away, you think one final, silly thought: you're a pirate with clean teeth. And somehow, that makes everything okay. Sleep, now. The sea will still be here in the morning.